I'm Obianuju Anosike, the moderator for today's event. Before I go any further, I would want to apologize for the delay. A situation beyond our control came up. Kindly bear with us. We do not take your presence for granted. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to today's program titled Blend Continuous Integration with GitHub Actions. It is a DevOps topic that will expose tech enthusiasts to continuous integration and continuous deployment through GitHub, a developer platform that allows developers to create, store, manage, and share their code. I hope you are as excited as I am to begin this learning session. This program is brought to you by the Azure Nigeria community. Joining us today is Joseph Roland, a DevOps engineer at OneSphere Solutions, with an extensive experience in designing, testing, and implementing infrastructure and applications. He has maintained a cross-disciplinary skill set that touches upon the cloud, development, operations, continuous delivery, data, and security. During the course of this session, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. Welcome, Roland. It is a pleasure to have you.
Hi, Obianuju. Thank you for having me. I'm
You're
delighted to be
welcome.
here. Yeah.
Yeah,
And how are you doing? All right. Thank you.
very well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So, thank you for the brief introduction. So, let's just get into the business of the day. Give me some minutes to share my slide. And so, today we'll be looking at GitHub Action and what is GitHub Action, how can we implement GitHub Action, right? So for companies, organizations that are looking forward to automating their workflow and processes, adopting best practices. So this is an opportunity for you to get to learn what GitHub Action is and how you can adopt this tool. Okay. Can you see my slide now? Hello? Hello, can you see my slide? Okay, so good day, everyone. Welcome to another session. So today we'll be learning what is integrating continuous integration with GitHub Actions. So what is GitHub? Oh, my name is Joseph Roland. And what is GitHub Actions, right? GitHub Actions is a CI/CD tool that allows us to or enable us to automate our workflow and deployment processes. Okay, so GitHub Action is a tool similar to Jenkins, Circle CI. For some of us that have interacted with Jenkins before, GitHub Actions is one tool, right, that does something similar and more powerful than Jenkins and Circle CI. And why should you consider using GitHub Action? right? Now imagine you are um, a DevOps engineer or you are a software engineer, right? You already understand how Git and GitHub works, okay? So if you understand how GitHub works and then you use GitHub to push and manage your version control or your source control system, I mean, so GitHub Actions is an add-on, right? That just makes your workflow very easy. Okay, so if you have your source code hosted on GitHub, right? Why do you have to go out, to go and learn other technology? Why not just leverage on what you already have, right, within your arsenal? So this is why when GitHub decided to build an amazing tool that is very easy to use, so uh, let's look at the So we're looking at what is GitHub Actions, then we look at benefits of GitHub Actions, and also we're going to run a demo. Okay, so yeah, so we understand how DevOps um, works, why we need DevOps, right? Okay, so DevOps is a combination of the development team or developers and the operations. Okay, now initially we understand how um, difficult it was for us to manage our workflow and become more efficient, right? Because once the dev team finish building source code, they have to push it to the operation team or the deployment team, right? So there were issues with configuration drifts, by the time you finish building and then taking it to the dev to operations team will come back and say, oh, this is not running. And then as a developer, this is working on your system. And by the time you push it to production server, something is broken. Okay, so a tool like GitHub Actions, right, help us to manage and streamline our day-to-day activities when it comes to development, how we test our applications, how we release application and how we manage our application. So let's understand why and what is GitHub Actions, okay? So CI/CD, which stands for continuous integration and continuous deployment, a practice that is used in modern day development and to automate, process, integrating codes, making changes, if you want to. So look at it this way. Okay, look at it this way. You have a software, right, in a pipeline. Now, in the modern day, right, there's huge demand for software releases. Now, initially, in the early days, it takes like 3 months, right, for a software company to come up with updates. Okay, but these days, users are demanding so much. Okay, so at every point, you have to update your software. You have to come up with new versions. Okay, now how do you manage this? How do you manage this flow efficiently? Okay, so this is where CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment, comes in. Okay, so with continuous integration, you can keep, while your application is live, you can keep, adding newer versions, to the application pipeline, right? And then you can release those application real time. Okay, so this is where CI/CD comes in, and GitHub Action is one of those tools that enables us to manage the CI/CD pipeline very, very effectively. Okay, so we're going to get started with GitHub Action. So first thing, you must have a GitHub account right now. Your basic, before you can use GitHub Actions, there are prerequisites that you must have, right? You must understand how version control system works. You must understand how version control system works. You must understand how you can manage, your source code, how you can push from your local repository to your remote repository. You must understand things like how you can fork, how you can clone repository to your local machine. Okay, so we're going to be doing a demo. We are going to be doing a demo just after this slide to see how we can use GitHub Action for to manage our workflow. So, like I said, you need to create a repository, right? You must have a GitHub account. Okay, you must have a GitHub account. You must create a repository, all right? And then we are going to create a YAML file. Okay, so let me just go to my GitHub account. Okay, so here I have to log into GitHub, and then we're going to create a repo. So let's create a repo for this project. So I'll create a repo, and I'll call this new repository. Is let me know if you can let me know if you can still see my screen. Okay, so we call this repository. What should we call it? CI. Okay, call it Azure Niger. Azure Niger CD. Okay. Add a README file. We're going to add a README file to this, and then we're going to create a repository. So we created a repository. Now, so here I have to now this repository is on my remote is on my remote, so I have to bring this repository to my local machine. But there's one other thing you can do. Um, you can do this. Okay. So GitHub has a dev environment, right? GitHub has a dev environment that allows you to work remotely. If you don't have uh, if you don't have an editor, right? If you don't have an editor, you can do so. Let me just I'm going to post this link in the chat window. Okay. So kindly share this with the audience. So GitHub.dev is a development environment that you can use right to work remotely. So if you don't have an ID work it, okay. So what you just need to do is go to GitHub, create a GitHub account, create a repository, go change the .com to .dev, like, and it creates an environment for you. It creates an environment for you to carry out all the work that you need to do. Okay, so but I won't be working from here. I have to go back. Okay, I'll be working from I love my local environment, so I'll go back. And then, so the first thing first is that I want to clone this repository. Okay, hold on. So I want to clone this repository, and then I'll come to my terminal. So I'll come to my terminal here, and then I'll cd documents, ls. Okay. So git clone. So I want to clone this repository to my local machine. I'll paste it here. So I will allow this to clone. So let's um, okay. So this is the file I'm looking for. So I've cloned this. So I'll just cd into this. Apologies. Let me make this bigger. Please, Obianiju, can you let me know if the font is bigger enough for the audience to see? So here, I'll paste my Azure Niger CD.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. So I am inside the directory now. I'm inside the directory. But let's clear this so that we can keep the workspace clean. Okay. So I'm inside this. So let's see ls. Okay. Now I am in my Azure Niger CD, repo. So what I've done is I've been able to clone my remote repo right to my local machine. So I want to work from here now. Okay. So let's open VS Code. So inside here, I'll come here and do code dot. So this will open VS Code for me. Okay. All right. Okay. So, okay. So my so I have my folder, right? So I have that remote position in my folder. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do, I want to copy the project into this. I want to copy the project we'll be working on into this directory. So I'm going to come here. Um, I have a couple of files here. So I'll copy everything. Okay. Then go back to Azure Niger CD, and then I'll drop it here. So please kindly remind me after the session to make this code base and the repository available for people that want to use the demo. Okay, for people that wants to use the file for their demo. So I'll come there, apply. So with this file, okay, we have our file now. But then the first thing that we need to do, so we have our Node.js application. Okay, we have our Node.js application. So let's use this application before we Dockerize it. Now, the purpose of this project, right? One is I want to use Docker. I want to use GitHub Actions, right, as my automation tool. Okay, to build and then push this Docker image, right, to Docker Hub. Okay, so in order for me to do that, now the first thing is, let's even test that this application is working. Okay, so I'm going to come here, open integrated terminal. Open integrated terminal. Please let me know when if there are questions online from the online audience. Okay, so I need to run npm install. So let's run npm install to install all the packaging and dependencies of the new application. So what is building? Just want to take you through the file. So this is my Docker file. Okay, so this Docker file, it is a node application, right? And here we created a work directory where our application, so when we build a Docker application, right, or when we build a Docker app, right, or when we Dockerize our application, now this is the directory, right, in which our application or all the files and sources that we need is going to be stored. Okay, so over here, I'm just saying, okay, I want to copy this package.json, which is this file, right, to this directory, and then run npm install. Okay, and then we expose our application port to port 3000. So application has finished running. So let's npm start. Okay, so this application has successfully started. So let's go to our browser and test this. So it's running on localhost 3000. Okay, so we have localhost for 3000. So now this is our mini project, right? So this is our mini project. You can see this is a planet system. Now let's go back to. So our project is successfully on. Okay. So let's come back here. Use this. Okay. So the first thing we need to do before I do this, we need to understand. Okay. So before I do this, right? Let's go to GitHub. Another action. Now, GitHub action, it is easy to understand, right? There's nothing to be scared about. Okay, so GitHub action has this called marketplace. And now, what is marketplace? So GitHub action marketplace is a place where other developers host, their actions, okay, for people that you want to use. So if you're looking to do something, so let's say for instance, you want to use GitHub Actions to log into your Azure account, okay. So Microsoft has created an action, right? An action is something is similar to a plugin. You can see an action as a plugin, and the work of the plugin is just to allows you to. A plugin is to make your work faster, right? So instead of having to go and build those things, so they've already created a plugin for you where you can just, go into the marketplace and then, look for the particular file that, or the particular actions that you are looking for, and then call those actions in your file. So for instance, you can see we have Terraform. So if you want to, if you are doing something around Terraform or OpenShift or Azure Web App, so you can come here. So if you don't know how to start, right, this is always like the best place for you to start. Okay, so you can come here, click on configure. Okay, you can come here, click on configure, right, and it creates a template for you. Okay, it creates a template for you to use. Now, so you can see here that it's created a .github /workflow then /blank.yaml. Now, GitHub action is written in YAML, is a YAML syntax, or yeah, okay. So it's written in in YAML. So it is very important that you also understand how YAML works. Okay, you need to understand things like arrays and string. Okay, so I'll come back here to my local repository. I'm going to create a folder outside of this. Okay, so I'll create a folder outside of this, and then I'll give it .github. Okay, .github /workflow. Please be mindful with the spelling. It is workflows, not workflow. Enter. Okay, so this has created a workflows file, or a directory for me, and inside it I'm going to come here and then create. You can give it anything, right? You can give the name of your file anything. So I'm going to give it name .yaml. Okay, so it's name .yaml file. So we have a GitHub Actions file now. Okay, so the first thing is, what are we going to do next? Okay, so the first thing that we need is this YAML file needs a name. Okay, so here, what can we name it? Can call it Azure, no, Niger Action. So after giving it a name, so this is the name of our action, right? I mean, so you don't have to put action, okay? Azure Niger or Azure CI. Okay. Now after this, we need to give it a trigger. And what is a trigger? Now, a trigger is an event that takes place once a certain condition is met. Okay, so here, first trigger is on, right? The first trigger is on. Now, if you go back to here, it gives you, now you can see from the template here, that within here you have a trigger. Now, this trigger controls when the workflow will run. What happens, right, when this trigger is met? Okay, so now when we push, right, so in here now, this is a condition here, right? The trigger is on. Now this is the condition. When there's a push, right, to our master branch, right? Now if we make a commit to our master branch, right, we want certain event to take place. Okay, if we make a pull request, right, so you can write a condition, right, that states how you want your action or your GitHub actions to flow, right? So here you have a pull request. If there's any pull request, okay, but we what we want to do is whenever we push right to the master branch, okay, whenever we push to the master branch, so here I'll come here. So I write a comment. But please, please give me a minute. Need to turn off this. Okay, so when there's a push, okay, hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Roland, I can hear
Hello, can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, Roland, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me, Roland?
Hello,
Can you
Obianuju,
hear
can you hear
me?
me?
Yes,
Is
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
is it still breaking?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you
Hello,
hear me? I
is it
can
still
hear you,
breaking?
Roland. Your voice is no longer breaking. I
Oh,
can hear
okay.
you loud and clear.
So I guess I might just have to turn off my camera because it's affecting the network. If you don't mind.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So here we have we've defined our now. What we're basically saying here is that we want to push whenever we push our code right to the main branch. Okay. Whenever we push our code to the main branch, it should be a trigger. Okay. So we've given a job. Okay. So what is a job? Right? Jobs are jobs are workflows within your GitHub action. Okay. So we need to define our first job. So our first job here, we can call it Docker build, okay, or we can call it build. Let's just let's just call it Docker. Let's just call it Docker. Okay. So we have our first job. We define our first job. Now the next thing is we want to give it we want to give it runs on. Now we are telling it that we want this job to run on Ubuntu machine. Okay. We are telling it to run on Ubuntu machine. So we give it Ubuntu letters. And then let's give it a steps. So what are steps? Steps are the steps, right? These are the things that these are like specific tasks that we actually want to, to carry out within this job. Okay. So now the first thing we need to do is we want to be able to log into Docker. Okay, we want to be able to log into Docker. Okay, so we're going to come here. Okay, and we'll give it a name. So we'll give it a name and we'll call it Docker login. Okay, and then the uses this uses Docker. Okay, so how do you now if you are lost, or maybe as a beginner you are trying to you want to create a Docker file, you want to use Docker you want to use GitHub action to build your image and you don't know what to do. Okay, the marketplace is always the right place for you to go to. Okay, so you come to marketplace. um, so come to marketplace. Okay, action. So come to marketplace and type Docker login. Okay, type Docker login. So you can use Docker login action. Okay, so you can come here. Okay, so come here, you come down. So once you come to the marketplace login, so it gives you access to a lot of registry, right, that exists out there. Okay, so if you want to push your Docker to GitHub, GitHub container registry, GitLab Container Registry, Azure Container Registry, or Google Container Registry. So there are a couple of registry out there. Okay, so it all depends on what you want. So for us, in our case, we are looking for Docker Hub. Okay, so we want to log into Docker Hub. So to log into Docker Hub, so we are going to use this runner. Okay, we are going to use this runner, Docker login action version 3. Okay, so you come here, you can copy this, right? You copy this and then go back to your code. Okay, now this V3 stands for version 6. Okay, so we're using this runner with what? Okay, so we define it with, we need a username. Okay, we need a username and so now for us to log in here, we need a username and a password. Okay, we need a username and a password. So how do we get a username and password? So to get our username and password, we need to go back to our browser. Let's open Docker. So we go to Docker, Docker Hub. Docker Hub. Okay, so we're now in a Docker Hub. So I'll come here and then go to my account, right? So go to where you have a user profile and under general, look for security and then create an access token. So I'm going to come here, create an access token. So I'll give it a description, Azure Niger CD, Azure Niger token. Okay, so I'll create my token and then very important, you need to copy the username, right? So for me, my username is Blue Ninjas. So I'm going to copy this and then let's take it somewhere. Come down within my code. So I'll paste this here and then let's go back, because please, when you are doing this, okay, once you close this interface, right, you cannot get it back. Okay, so always ensure that you copy your secret access key. So I'll copy my secret access key, copy and close. Okay, so I'll come back here and then dump my secret access key. So now, to maintain security best practice, okay, we are not going to hard code our user name and the secret access key, right, in this. We are not going to hard code it into our code, right? Because if anybody gain access to this file, right, they will see our credentials. So what we need to do, right, is to go back to GitHub. Okay, so we have to come back to GitHub and then within this repository, we go back to, let's go to settings. Okay, so go to settings, and then we go to secrets and variables. So under actions, right? Because we are creating this secret access for our GitHub actions. So under actions, we are going to come here and then new repository secret. So no. Go back. Let's create the variable first. So we are going to create a variable. Okay. So create a new variable. So my variable value is what? My variable value here is Blue Ninjas. So I'll copy this. Okay. I'll copy Blue Ninjas and go back here and paste it here. Now, what is our variable name? So our variable name can be anything, but here GitHub Action has provided a format. So I can come here, copy it, and call it username. Username. So under here, I can say Docker underscore username. Okay, and then I'll say it. And then I'll come back and then create a secret. So so this secret is a temporary credentials which I'm going to delete after this demo. So I'll go back here under my repository secrets. Okay, under my repository secrets, I'll create new repository secrets, and then I'll paste my repository secret here, and then I'll give it Docker underscore token, Docker underscore token, and then I'll add my secret. Okay, so now if you look here, I have my variables. Okay, so I have my variables here, and then I have my access secrets, repository secrets. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to come here and then delete this. Okay, so how do we pass this in? Now, remember here, we are passing our credentials in as variables and secrets. Okay, so instead of hard coding, we are going to reference it. So to reference it, we give it vars dot what? Vars variable dot our repository variable. Okay, variable dot our repository variable. So our repository variable here is Docker username. So we're going to come here and paste this. Then here you do secrets dot. Okay, so secret dot Docker underscore token. Okay. So this is how you can call your secret key and then your variable key. Okay, so now the next thing we have to do is to test. Apologies. This indentation is very important. Indentation is very important when you are working with a YAML file. Okay, so now let's test our code if it is working. So we come here and then we want to push this code to our GitHub remote branch. Okay, we want to push it to our remote um, repo. So I'll do git. First thing is, let me check the status of our commit. Git status. Okay. So node modules. I don't want to copy my node. I don't want to copy node modules into our commits because node modules are quite heavy. So I'll do this. So let's create a .git ignore file. Now come here and then copy parts. Okay. I want to paste this in here, right? So we don't want Git to track the node module. However, we can do a relative path. Then which other files we want to also don't want to copy the Docker file. Um, are there other files? Okay. Okay. So let's go back to this. Do git status. So you can see Git has taken node module away. Okay. So we do git add all git commit. Okay, what should be our commit message? So so our commit message is just something simple. Um, my first GitHub action commit. Oh, okay, awesome. Git status. Okay, so our main branch is clean. So now we want to push to our master branch. Okay, so now this is asking for password. Um, but mind you, GitHub has made some implementation which does not allow you to use your GitHub your account password, to log into your remote branch. So what you have to do is come here under settings, go to developer settings, and then come to personal access tokens, and then find green tokens. So um, first, okay. So here, so this is where you can generate your. So if you are trying to push to GitHub and it's asking for your password, okay, just be mindful that your user password cannot work in this case. So you need to generate personal access token. So here, this is where you generate an access token. Okay, so you can just come here, create the generate new token classic. So because I've done that already, when I was preparing for this demo, I won't be doing that again. So I'm just going to open my local file to see where this file was saved to. Obiano, please, are there questions?
No, not at all. Just Mark Fisher asking if you could drop the links in to the involved repos. But you said you will do that later. Can you hear me, Roland?
So I'm going to copy this here, come here, and then okay. So these are successfully pushed, right? These are successfully pushed to my this has pushed to my main branch. So let's go and check if this was if our first job ran successfully. So come back here. Okay. So let's come to actions. Okay. So you can see as we have here, it shows green. So now these are the steps. Okay. These were the steps for this job to run. So the first thing here, if we have to inspect this, is that the current runner is version 2 point whatever. Then the operating system here is Ubuntu. Okay, so if you remember from on our run zone, okay, when we did our runner, right, we specify Ubuntu latest, okay, as the operating system that this job should run on. So over here, it's telling us that this is running on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. The runner image, okay, so you can see the image here, okay. Then GitHub token permission, these are the things that this allows. And then so yeah, so this is a Docker login now. Okay, this is a Docker login. So here it shows my user, so it has fetched my username, right, from the where we stored it in the variable, right, the GitHub variable. So it has fetched my username and then it has encrypted this password, okay, and the ECR logout is true. Okay, so this job has ran successfully. Okay, so the first thing now is we've been able to log into our um, we've been able to log into a Docker hub, right, using GitHub Action. Okay, so using what? GitHub Action. So I think at this point, before I move to the next steps, I'd like to just stop here and then ask the questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much, Roland. So
Are there
we have,
questions?
yes, we have questions. So the first I can see here is, can we have a training on YAML and how to define YAML files? Same for Docker files. That's the first question.
Good afternoon. I'm just joining the training and I have a question. My question is about YAML files. Please, can you put that up again? How does one defines one? How do you know what and when to use? Okay, so thank you, Michael, for that question. So this particular session is not on is not on YAML, right? This particular session is on GitHub Action. So I stated earlier that for you to um, understand how GitHub Action works, right? You need to you need to have a basic knowledge on you need to have a basic knowledge on YAML, right? You need to have a basic knowledge on YAML. So there are a ton of resources out there that you can use, okay, to learn more about how YAML works, okay. But if we are talking about defining what to use. Now, I said earlier, so let me go back here. If you are starting with GitHub Action, okay, if you are starting with GitHub Action, you do not need to cram anything, all right? You do not cram anything. So once you come to your repository under Actions, now GitHub Action has what is called a marketplace, okay? It has what is called a marketplace. Now, here, this is a marketplace. Okay. So this is a marketplace. If you want to say, okay, let me look for common scenario. You want to do something with Azure pipeline, okay, and you're a beginner, you can just come to this marketplace and then search for the runners, okay, or the actions that you are looking for. For instance, if I want to use Terraform, okay, and I'm a beginner, I can come here and search for Terraform runner, Terraform, Terraform login. If there's a runner like that, or so let's see, Terraform. Okay. So you can see, so you have a Docker build and push image here. If you are looking for, there are tons of, I don't know why the search is not working. Okay. If you want to do, for those that are Flutter developers, if you want to use Flutter, right, you want to use GitHub Action, to push your maybe your Flutter, whatever you want to do with Flutter, you can just come here. Okay, everything has been defined for you. So all you just need to do is look at, okay, what are the things, what are the parameters that I need, what are the statements that I need, okay, to actually run this. And you just, you just read through it. So by the time you have a grasp of that, okay, you can now look at, okay, I need, so let's stay within the confine of what we are doing now. So we've successfully logged into our Docker. We've successfully logged into Docker. Now we want to build the image. So let's build the image. This should work. Okay. So you can see here, we have Docker login. You want to create a metadata for your Docker image. Okay. You just come here, Docker metadata. Okay. So the documentation is there for you. So the first thing is you need to define a name. Okay, so what is the name of your workflow? Okay, and then this is a trigger. What are the trigger that now for workflow dispatch? Do you want to run this manually? Now, when you push, okay, when there's a trigger, when there's a push trigger, once you push your your source code to the remote branch, say you push it to master branch or you push it to a feature branch, what happens? Okay, then you give it tags. Okay, and then these are the jobs. So you have a Docker as the name of your job, and then you want this to run on Ubuntu machine. Okay, and then you can give it a checkout. Okay, so the marketplace is a very good place for one to start. Okay, if you are new and you want to do certain things you don't understand, GitHub Action has a rich documentation. Okay, there are tons of documentation out there. You just need to do a bit of research, and then patience is also key. So sit down with it, go to the marketplace, look at, define what you want to do. Do you want to log into Docker? Do you want to build an image? After building the image, before you push the image, do you want to test the image? After testing the image, do you now want to say, okay, you want to use Azure Kubernetes service, to um, containerize that image? So GitHub Actions supports all this. It supports all these things that you want to do. So the best place to start is to use the GitHub Action documentation and also the marketplace. Okay. Um, okay, so I'll drop the, I'm going to drop the repo, okay, where you can fork the project on push run. How? So I'm not sure I understand. Um, I'm not sure I understand this question. Obianuju, can you help? Can they help with? Can you help with the question? Oh, so what are the gates command to push to main branch? So, so git push, yeah. So git push is the command. But so there are two ways to do that. Now, if you already, so let's say you pull an existing image. Okay, so let's say you pull an existing image. So let me go back here and share my screen. So if I have to go to my, so if I come to this repo, so let's say now this repo, I want to pull this repo now, okay? I want to pull this repo um, to my local machine, okay? And I come here and I do git clone. So once I clone this, okay? So once I clone this, all I just need to do, because if I clone this file to my local machine, GitHub or Git, not GitHub now, Git will see it as my main branch, okay? So it means my main branch and my remote branch and my local branch are in sync, okay? So for that, if I want to push, all I just need to do is to write git push, okay? So if I do git push, it push to, so it push to my main branch. But if you are building locally, right, and you want to push to the remote branch, okay, now Git does not understand where you are pushing to. So the head of your local branch and the head of your master branch, they have to be in sync. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to add the remote origin. Okay, so you have to add the remote origin. So once you add the remote origin and then you specify the U, right? So at any point you want to push, right, it will always see the master branch. Okay, so but if you don't have, if you've not forked or you've not cloned the remote branch to your local branch, you need to add the origin. So I think I'll just drop a link for you to read more and watch more tutorial on GitHub. So quickly, the time is fast spent. So if I can't complete this demo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a video, right, that will be shared with the community later on. Okay, so if because we are 30 minutes, we've, we've spent 30 minutes already. This class was supposed to end by 4:30. Okay, so let's go back to our. So now we have logged into, we successfully logged into our Docker hub. So we need to create a new, we need to add a new workflow now. So now we want to build a Docker image. Okay, so the first thing we do is to give it a name. So to give it a name, say, give it Docker login. Okay, and then this uses actions slash, okay, so action slash what? Let's go back to marketplace and go to actions. So under here, let's search for Docker. So yeah, we want to build and push. So you come here, right? So you build and push and push at, sorry, build and push. Oh, sorry, build push action at v3. Okay, so we want to use this with, so now for in Docker we have what is called build context. Okay, so we have what is called build context. So when you are building a Docker image, right, you need to provide the path. Okay, so you need to provide the path. So here, where your Docker file is 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 located. So here, our Docker file is in the root directory. Okay, so our Docker file is in the root directory. So I'm going to come back to my main.yaml and then specify this. All right, and then so do we want to push this? So after building the image, do we want to push it directly to Docker Hub? So it depends. If we want to ensure that the image is, properly built, and after building, we have to pull it down and then test it if it's working before we can now push. So here you can specify true if you want to, build and push, okay, and then give it a tag. So my tags here, I'll say, so tags usually come in this format: user slash app, you know, latest. So here, the app is what you want, the name you want to give your Docker image. So I've not closed my Docker. So I haven't closed my Docker Hub. So I come here, Docker Hub. So sorry, this is taking a bit on that route. So yeah, in my repository, right, within my Docker repository, you would see what you notice is this naming convention. Now, when you are building a Docker image, right, first is you need to give it your username or your repository name, because this is how Docker will know that, okay, I am pushing this image to this repository. Okay, so and then if you look at it, the tags, there are different tags. So you have version 1, you have latest. So by default, if you don't specify a tag, it takes the latest as the default tag. So the same thing here. The same thing here. So we copy this and then we come back here to our tags. You can see the user, which is your repository name or your username, okay, followed by what? The app name, and then the tag, which is latest. So I'm going to come here and then just paste this in. Okay, so here I want to change the name to say, okay, I want to give it planet slash latest. So our let's go back to Git and then make the commit. So we're going to sorry, Git. What's going on? Okay. Git status. Okay, so there are changes within the main or YAML file. So let's add this and then let's commit this. Git commits. Um, what do we want to give it? Oh, no, say building and pushing uh, image to Docker. Oh, okay, so git push. So you want to push this to the main branch. Git push. So to request for my username. So I need to come here and then copy that. Paste. Okay, so this has pushed our commit to the main branch. So let's go back to our action. Oh, okay. So as you can see, this has failed. So we have to inspect. So we have to inspect this. So here, this is our logs. So it says unable to resolve action, build and push action, repository not found. Okay. So I did this intentionally. Now it is looking for this repository, right? It is looking for this repository, but unfortunately, it couldn't find it because there's no repository like that. So if you come here, you will see that this is build push action. Okay, build push action v5. But because I made the mistake here, right? So it went into that rep and then tried to look for if this file actually, or if this repository actually exists. So since it could not find it, it returns an error. So let's go back. Let's go back here and then commit git add git commit. So git push place. Okay. So let's go back and see if our jobs are successfully run. So it's currently running. Okay. Unable to resolve action. Push action repository not found. Interesting. Okay. Sorry for your action docker. So I'm just going to add this commit and then push. So my secret access key. Okay. Sorry. So let's go back here. Oh, okay. So this has failed. Again. So this time around. So let's go inside and inspect what is happening. Okay. Load build definition from Docker file. So Docker info. So I'm so from the error here, it is telling us that it is looking for this Docker file, but it could not find it. There's no such file or directory. Okay, there's no such file or directory. So what do we do? So let's go back here and then check. Well, we have a Docker file in the root directory. So what is happening? So let's come here and then do add this Docker file. Docker file. So um, so this is going to run this. Okay, create a file and then push this into the build context. Uh, so hopefully, if I'm not able to finish this, like I promised before, I'm going to create a demo for it again. Um, so for that place. Okay. So let's go back and rerun this. So we still could not read this. Um, we're still looking for Docker file, but we have a Docker file here. Hmm, Okay, so this will, um, okay. So so this is still telling us that this Docker file. Oh, so it's still telling us that this Docker file does not exist in this directory. Well, fortunately, that's so unfortunate because our Docker file is here. Okay. Okay. So here it catches another error. So okay,
Hi, Roland. Can you hear me?
I'm able to prepare content.
Roland, can you hear me?
Okay. So I'll bring the class to one end here. But what I'm going to do is that I will create a demo and then I'll share the video with the community. Okay. So are there questions? Hello, Bianuju, can take over now.
Okay, yes, thank you so much, Roland. This was a session filled with so many amazing things to learn. Thank you for putting us through all of this. I'm sure the audience still have a lot of questions, but unfortunately, we are running out of time. So hopefully, they will be getting the demo video and
Hello,
be able to
Bianuju, are you on the
catch up.
call?
Yes, yes, I am. Can you hear me? Roland, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Roland? I think you can't hear me. Okay, thank you everyone for joining this session. I'm sure you've learned one or two. I'm so sorry if your questions can be taken at the moment, but we really have to round up because of time. So be sure to you're going to get the demo video, and I'm sure from there you'll be able to get updated on whatever is getting you confused or whatever you want to get better at. So thank you so much. Thank you for staying with us. Once again, we are so sorry for delaying time. We didn't start on at 3 p.m. as stated earlier, but we're so sorry for that because some situations with not within our control came up. And I really hope we've been able to utilize our time appropriately and we'll be able to implement whatever it is we have learned to be better software engineers. Thank you so much and have a beautiful evening.